And hey, we are live. We are here. I'm your host, Myki Angeline of the Bad Filipino podcast, season 2, episode 4. My guest today couldn't come at a better time, especially this time of year, especially everything we've been enduring in the last 2, 3 weeks, and somebody I connected with at the podcast conference. I welcome everybody, Barbara Fonti.
Woo! Hey, Mickey.
Thank you and you're on
Thank
the
you.
East Coast, so you're
I
3 hours ahead,
am.
and it's
I am.
freezing.
It's freezing and it's happy hour. And
But you look so great. Can I just say your
thank you.
energy is just beaming through right now? Your radiant smile, your energy. So give those that are watching and listening a little background, who you are and what you do, Barbara.
Okay. Well, I'm feeling good. Maybe that's why my energy is up. I'm having a good week. Looking forward to Thanksgiving and connecting with some people that I haven't connected with in quite some time. I feel like that's my charge for Thanksgiving. Um, anyway, I am a coach. I'm an executive coach. I work with business owners and I work with people who really just want to live a better life, which means upping their game and living happier. So I help them get unstuck and moving forward. And a lot of the people I work with are entrepreneurs or they want to be entrepreneurs. And so they need a path to get there.
Oh my goodness. And you've been doing this for quite some time. I mean, we talked off camera. You were in sales for a couple of years before you got into this, but how many years total have you been doing this sort of work?
Well, let's see. I was a sales coach for a couple of decades, and I worked with business owners and mostly sales professionals, a lot of women, and helping them achieve their goals, financial or otherwise. But most of the time, it had some kind of financial component that was driving them. But then a couple of years ago, I decided I wanted to branch out, start my own business, which is why I started Big Dream Executive Coaching to help people sort of design the life that really speaks to who they are authentically, not who other people want them to be, not living the life that they think they should be living, but what really speaks to them and kind of helping them get there, sort of being their strategic partner and sometimes an accountability partner in getting there. And it's great. I absolutely love it. Can't say enough good things about it.
You touched on a very good point because so many people, and I'm one of them, and I'm sure people watching are can relate to this, where you get caught up in a corporate lifestyle or work or a job, and you're so focused on trying to do best by their standards
Mm-hmm.
that you'll fall into a trap of that's how you should be as a person, and that might be all you think you have to offer, when really you're just trapped.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's easy to fall into that. And as we get older, it's easier and easier just to kind of stay that course. There's that book. I can't remember the name of it, but you just reminded me of it. It's like the top 5 things that people regret at the end of their life. And
Oh,
it's like either the number one thing or the number two thing is that they lived a life that other people wanted them to live, not the life that was authentic to the life that they wanted to live. And that really struck me. I was like, you know what? That's right. That's right. I
that's
don't
a
want to get to
vicious
the end of my life,
circle.
right? You
That's
don't
a
want
vicious circle that keeps repeating itself.
yeah. But it's hard to break out of, that path that we're on right now, and just say, listen, I'm going to take a risk and I'm going to
So
go where I need to be.
So then in your industry, what is the key or common factor that'll happen when people, because I'm guessing, is it more that people find you or do you seek them out
It's
as
more
far
that
as
they find
clients?
me. It's more that they find me. Yeah, sometimes it's from word of mouth. I've done a lot of public speaking in the past. I say in the past because everything sort of changed about, I don't know, 6 or 7 months
9 months
ago.
ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. So, I had to get a little more proactive after that and sort of make some pivots and get my head out of the sand because I was thinking that, this will last 3 months and everything will be back to normal in July. And,
And didn't happen. And what
no.
have been like the top reason that someone would seek you out? Like what is it that whatever was going on in their life hit bottom enough for them to seek guidance and help?
Hmm. So that's a really good question. Sometimes they'll get to a certain birthday and they say, you know what, something's not right. I'm just not happy. Sometimes I don't even know why. I just like, I'm living this life and I'm just not happy. I'm not excited to get out of bed in the morning. Everything just feels like a drudgery, or I just feel like these negative emotions during the day, something's not right. Other times, it's not necessarily that it's a birthday, but they just have this idea of this path that they want to take, and they want something more. And it's a lot of times this happens where people will seek me out when they are past like their mid 40s, where it's like, okay, they've
Mm.
gone this traditional route, right? They went to college, or they didn't go to college, but they took on some kind of a job or some kind of roles or some kind of path. And then they sort of come to this point where it's like, okay, wait a second. Let me look at this next half of my life. And how do I want to be spending that time? What do I want to do in this next chapter? What's really going to engage my passion? And sometimes people don't know what that is. So we have to uncover that for them, which is the
That's
really
such a
cool,
good
fun
one.
part. Yeah.
That's been my journey, is not knowing what I have inside and what I have to give, and not believing enough in myself that I can demand whatever price I should put out there for my worth, for my
Yes.
gift. How many times, and I'm sure this is something you come across too with clients, because let's say you said entrepreneurs, we'll pick that group, and let's
Okay.
say whatever with that job comes, well, what do I charge somebody for my services?
Mm.
Is that too much? What if they don't want, you get that, I'm sure, right?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it's easy if someone has a specific product, because then you can kind of back into that when you've got your production costs and distribution costs and so forth. But when you're talking about a service, that does get tricky. And people tend to, especially if they haven't had the experience yet, they're not really sure what their worth is. So they tend to back off of the price and undervalue that. So, the best thing to do is say, listen, how much do you want to make an hour? you know, how much do you want to make? Do you want to make $100 an hour? You charge $100 an hour.
Yeah.
But you need to tie it into some of your budgetary goals and what you want for your future. Always keeping your future in mind.
And I think also too, because you being a woman in the industry, that's an extra added obstacle when it comes to speaking. Especially, I would think we were talking about this. I know we y'all who are paying attention, we did a lot of talking off camera
Yeah.
before we came on camera. But oh, and plus too, I didn't want to forget, you got some fans here. Susan Powers, you are fantastic.
Woohoo,
Antoine,
Susan. I love her. I
Barbara
went to college
says,
with Susan.
and Barbara says you're a great find.
Oh,
Barbara,
yeah.
I agree, because when I found Barbara, I'm trying to remember. Did we do? Was it the podcast little like speed dating thing?
Yeah, we did. We did
That was so
speed dating,
amazing.
speed networking. That was so
Speed
fun.
networking was so
That
amazing.
was
I tell you.
great. That was so great. But I have to tell you, I'm so fortunate because I have a tribe of really great friends and a lot of badass women, and they inspire me too.
And that's
So,
key, isn't it? Let's go into that, because there's a saying that I've adopted. I don't remember where I got it, but it goes like this. It says, "You are the 5 people you surround yourself with or hang out with the
right,
most." So if
right,
you want to know where you're going, look at who you associate with. You don't want to be the smartest person in the room, because then you're in the wrong room. You figured it out. You surround yourself with those that have that same, you challenge each other to level up. You support one another. You don't cut each other down.
right.
And that's probably
Absolutely.
the biggest thing, because when we talk about not knowing our worth, when we talk about if we're working for someone else and we try to set ourselves in that mindset that that's the goal, that's where we mess up, and we're not being good to ourselves. And
Right.
sometimes the hardest part is leaving behind certain people who you might have grown up through in the trenches. But if you're wondering why you're still in the trenches, right? I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah, there's so much I could say about what you just said, Myki. I love. There's so much to unpack there. I love it. But I just, one of the things that came up a couple times in the few minutes that we've been talking is this whole like self-worth thing. And one of the wonderful things that I have discovered in so many friends, and some of them are, newer friends too. I'm lucky. I moved a couple of years ago, and I moved to like this great space with these terrific people. And I've noticed that there's this common thread in them. And I think it's one of the reasons why I feel so happy and engaged is that there's no judgment.
that's a good one.
There's no judgment.
That's a good
It's
one.
just we are who we are. Everybody accepts each other for whoever they are. Nobody is assessing anything and so forth. And that says a lot about what's going on inside of them. Because, you know, when you're at peace with yourself, when you feel good about yourself and you're comfortable in your own skin, you can show up for other people that way in the
Yeah.
most positive way. And so you had mentioned before about your self-worth. And this is something that comes up a lot with men and women, with everybody, no matter, you know, where, you know, whoever you are, wherever you are. And it's this internal judge. And it's the biggest saboteur that people have. Even, you know, if you looked at like the top CEOs of these incredible companies, you go, wow, that person is full of confidence. Guess what? A lot of those people suffer from something called imposter syndrome, where there's this fear like, uh-oh, people are going to discover that I'm not as good as, you know, I pretend to be.
I believe
Or,
that.
and they question. So we question ourselves. So one of the things we can do to help ourselves is to listen for that judge. That judge will, you know, tell us that we might not be good enough, that things aren't going to turn out well for us, that we're not smart enough, that we shouldn't go for that job that we want to go for because who would hire us? You know,
Yeah.
things like that. It holds us back from really taking action on the things that we want to take action for. And sometimes it gets in the way of us connecting with people, you know, because it holds back our self-esteem. And that's a shame. So if we listen for that judge, know that that's not us. That's just that crazy little
Yeah. That's
sabotaging judge. That's not you.
that's
That's
us
that
getting
dumb
in our
judge.
own way sometimes
Exactly.
too.
Exactly.
You know, have faith in believing in yourself, and you know, it's that second guessing. And I can't speak for men, but I know with women, second guessing happens so often. You know, and it comes with
Yes.
a whole diatribe of just we look back in history, we just were reared to doubt ourselves and not think. You know, I mean, we fought so hard for how many years just the right to be considered on the same playing level before we even realized why are we looking to anyone else, and I'm referring to gender. You know, why are we
Mm-hmm.
looking at the time to men to determine our worth when we just look inside and determine our own worth? And it's such a different time right now because now going into with the pandemic hitting, and we had discussed this, how everyone is at a different place in their life. I mean, it's been hard for people. They're stuck in whatever they're stuck in, whether it's financial, whether it's a loss of a loved one, whether it's a loss of a job, whether they don't have anywhere to live, and then a pandemic hits. And what's happening is everyone's feeling it simultaneously, and we're vibing and feeling off of everyone's negative emotions, the anxiety, the frustration, the fear that's added to whatever we already got going on. And now we can't seem to differentiate. Is it mine? Is it yours? Is it his? Is it theirs? Because it happened like that.
Yes, you're so right. You're so right. It's like, you know, in March, I remember going into the supermarket and, you know, I had heard about this virus coming and I heard people were like grabbing toilet paper and all these, you know, we all heard about this, right?
Yeah, I
But it
know.
was the actual experiencing that, going into the supermarket, seeing the empty shelves and just feeling the energy of everybody who was feeling anxious and stressed. And you
Yeah.
could see it on their faces because nobody wore masks yet. And you just felt that energy. And it was very hard not to let it seep in and get you up to that state, you know, that
Yes.
of you know, fear
Oh,
and
it just added,
stress.
and you didn't know. I mean, I remember going, one of many moments, but going to the store thinking, I really took for granted that I could go to a store and pretty much anything I wanted was there.
Yeah, right.
Whereas now, I mean, like I would have 47 choices of rice or 17 choices of bathroom cleaner. Whereas, and this was probably 3 months ago, it was a hit or miss if something was there. Did I
True.
stock up? Because I didn't think to stock up. Do I now? Here we go. Where it depends on different people. I live in an apartment. So when the first wave of panic hit and people were stocking up, because they're stocking up because they don't know what's over the horizon. I don't
Yeah.
have a garage to keep a generator if the power goes down, to store gallons of water if the system goes down and the water coming out of the pipes is toxic. Like, you think of these things, you don't know what's going to happen. And
Hmm.
I'm just like, oh, snap. We all kind of put ourselves, we were talking about things that are essential. When
Hmm.
we can strive to live in whatever lifestyle either we want or we have to put up with, this pandemic just put it all in perspective. Then you're learning to live by
Absolutely.
the basics. You're learning to trust instinct. We threw instinct out the window for how long ago? Until this happen? So now, I mean, I know we're going off on a tangent with this, but so for you in the business that you're in,
Mhm.
how did that affect you both personally and then with your business? And how did you survive and thrive through it?
Yeah, well, one of we talked about this before. It's like one of the benefits of not being a 20 something anymore. Let's just leave it at that. Is that you've been through enough in your life that you know what? Guess what? We're going to get through it. We're going to get through it. And that's not to downplay the serious effects that this pandemic has had on people. It's had not just on their bottom line, but on their ability to connect with loved ones. And unfortunately, for many people, they didn't quite make it, right?
Right.
That being said, we're going to rebuild. It may
Yeah.
take some time. We're going to get through it,
Mm-hmm.
and we will survive and we will thrive again. And actually, when the pandemic's done, we're going to hear some great stories of people that thrived. We're going to hear great business stories of companies that got innovative and had like creative collaborations, and people who just were in peak performance and really in the zone and made things happen. And the truth is that studies show, there have been so many studies from people that are a whole lot smarter than I am, that have found that 85% of what we worry about never happens.
It's true. Oh
It
my
never
gosh. It's
happens,
always the
right?
what if. It's that
Yeah,
what
the
if
what
bug.
if. And by the way, the remaining 15%, we handle that a whole lot better than we think we're going to. But in the meantime, we're wrecking our well being. We're tossing and turning at night. We're stressing ourselves out unnecessarily. I mean, why anybody should be stressed out about toilet paper, I don't know. But, this
You
is a
could
gift without we
rewash
can
a rag.
rethink this. Yes, there you go.
I remember
I'll
changing
get
my
some
little
leaves
brother's
outside.
cloth diapers. I mean, it goes back to the basics. And what you're saying makes so much sense. And it sounds like, part of what you teach with your clients and how you do your workshops is that you teach people to throw out the things you think are important. They're really not. And I'm going to show you how, and you're going to feel so much more relief when we're done with this. And you're going to have so much less to be anxiety ridden about. It sounds like is what you're saying.
Yeah. What we try to do is we try to get people not to be motivated in their day and decide what they're going to do, what they're not going to do based on negative emotion. But that's the way most people operate. They operate out of stress or out of fear of something, or they're ashamed of something. Maybe we're ashamed of the way we look, so we try to change it. So maybe we do things like that, or we have a fear about things. We fear we're not going to be able to pay the bills. I mean, we're afraid of everything. We're afraid of dying. We're afraid of dying young. We're afraid of growing old. We're afraid of everything, right? But that, and we tell ourselves these lies, which make us hold on to those fears. So what we do is we try to open up people's perspective and say, you don't have to live with that. You don't have to live with that. And the cool thing, and this is really, I just reminded me of this. When I sit down with somebody first time, we're going to do some coaching, and I'll ask them what they want. And sometimes they don't know. So we spend time really figuring that and sort of unpacking and clarifying what they want. And very often we look at what they want for their finances, for their career. What do they want from their relationships? How do they want to show up in those relationships? How do they want to interact their community and everything else, right? And then we say, okay, so now we've built this life that you can really be excited about, that what you really want. And then we try to envision you living that life. So imagine you're living this life that really speaks to who you are, that you have all of these things that you want. Forget what you think you can get. It's what you really want, right? And then I'll ask people this question. I'll say, okay, you're living that life. How does that feel? How does that feel? Sometimes people will say, oh, I feel happy. I'm like, well, what does happy feel like? And the answers that I get from people all seem to be surrounding this theme of freedom. Freedom.
Oh.
Freedom from those negative things. Freedom, financial freedom. Freedom from the stress of worrying about parents or wondering what their children, are going to grow up to be, or whether they're going to get into college. Freedom from, feeling ashamed of something about themselves. Freedom from fear of failure. And all of these kinds of things, they feel free, they feel light. And so what we do with coaching is we say, okay, now imagine that light, happy feeling that you have. And imagine getting it now, not waiting till the end when this happens and this happens, when you get that promotion and the kid gets into college and all these kinds of things. Imagine feeling that freedom and that lightness now. How would your life be now?
I bet you bring people to tears. They're just so elated by the time they're done with your workshop. It's
Sometimes,
like
sometimes.
that feeling of joy, but it comes through, it's the breakthrough for them because everyone will
Yeah.
have that personal breakthrough, that personal aha, right?
Right. Yeah. And then from there, we show them how to do it. But, that's the whole idea is, right? Live
Yeah,
free now. Because so much of what we worry about, so much of this is self imposed.
it
It
is.
really is.
And as women, because I'm a mom, I don't, are you a mom?
I am a mom.
You
I
are a
have two
mom. No, we did discuss
daughters.
this. So, you brought something up that was so reminded me of when I was growing up, when I was going through being a mother and coming up with all these reasons I was putting off a career. And I would center it around my kid, or it's centered around. And when I look back on that now that I'm wise and not as hyper about things, was I really, I mean, obviously I was doing my best to be a good parent, but was I hiding behind that? Because I had a fear that I wasn't good enough. And it
Mm,
was comfortable enough to hide behind, well, I'm a mom and I have to push, because there are moms that have been able to do it all, and so I think that's another thing to kind of unpack, is,
absolutely.
are you kind of trying to combine your personal fear with responsibility, or is there room to organize it just enough, because not only are you being responsible for your child, but you're also being a role model?
Right. And if you're afraid of something, you can find 1,000 different reasons why you can't do it and you shouldn't do it
Yes.
and you don't have time to do it and,
Yep.
all of these kinds of things. But if you focus on why you can do it,
The
that's a
why.
different, you'll
That's the
find it. Yeah.
question, isn't it?
The
The why.
why. The
And that's
why.
probably part of what you do, is you figure out in each person your why.
Yeah, a lot of people, I say to them, what's your purpose or what's your passion? And they say, well, I don't know. And that's understandable. We don't really spend time on this. I mean, who really spends time on self-reflection on a regular basis? Not a whole lot of people. Life is
No.
complicated and busy and so forth. But so one of the things we do is we have a little hack for how you find your purpose, and and it's great. And then once you have your purpose, you can make your goals around that, you know.
I already feel
So
lighter talking to you about
I
this.
love this.
Because you're giving me enough of a direction to go, oh, in my head,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, as I'm listening to you talk, I'm
Yeah.
like, and especially now we talked about how this is a really perfect time of the year to us 21 in our own
Absolutely.
personal way, because hibernation is a real thing. All creatures go through it, whether we want to fight it or not. That's why there's less light out. It's colder, because we're forced to slow down, heal, reflect,
Hmm.
regroup, right? And now we're at the, not like the tail, I mean, the pandemic is worse than ever because things are happening, but at least we have an idea. We didn't have an idea 6 months ago. We now have 8 months of trial and error. And I think, at least that's how I feel. So then I know I can, because I'm telling you, anyone else who's watching, maybe you felt this way. But those first couple of months, I just took it day by day. I almost went into comatose mode just to kind of save my sanity, because of the fact that I honestly didn't know what the summer was going to be like. I didn't know what the fall was going to be like. But now I sort of feel like, okay, I know that if I keep myself distance, I wash my hands, I wear, if I do the things to try to help play the part in bringing it down until we get the vaccine, whatever, and we rebuild, because it's, this isn't going to be forever. I suddenly felt like there's hope, and now I can push through, and now I can get things done. And I
Right.
think, right? I mean,
Definitely. And I'm glad you brought up the whole idea of uncertainty, because this is wrecking with a lot of people. We like certainty. That's one of the reasons why we don't like risk. We like certainty. And I heard somebody say once, your superpower is your ability to deal with uncertainty. And I was like, yeah, that's true. Because really in life, nothing is really certain, or so much is uncertain, at least. So the more comfortable we get with that. But then, getting back to the whole purpose thing, if sort of your internal GPS, which is your purpose, or if you run a business, that's why your mission statement is so important. And you go, well, I don't know what to do. Okay, let's create some structure based on your purpose. And that helps ground you, and then you know to move forward. So,
see, even Tamara, coaching makes a difference. Yes.
yes.
Coaching does. Don't ever think you have to do this by yourself. Even Barbara liked your focus on why you can do it. It's, we all manifest everything in our lives. Everything. We have that power. We can focus on it and be angry all the time. We can
Yeah,
focus on it and be purposeful all the time. I shouldn't say all the time, but that direction. No matter how we feel, we're manifesting it. We all have that ability. We all have that power.
absolutely. Humans are so much more powerful than they think they are.
Yeah.
So we got to act accordingly. So
We do. Okay. So now going into December already
mhm.
with, I don't even look, I'm looking at a calendar right now. Is it 5, 6 weeks left in the year?
Oh, brother, I think 5. It goes
Yeah.
fast. This is going to go fast.
Give us some, you want to like use this time right now, like give us like one little nugget of advice and then let us know what you've got coming up.
Okay. Well, first of all, before we return to normal, let's take this time now and decide what we don't want to return to. Right. So we all
Yes.
make these to-do lists. Let's make the to-don't lists. Right. I don't want to get back on the wheel. I don't want to succumb to certain negative energies. There's certain even people in our lives that we've just, attached ourselves to, but they really suck the energy out of us. So maybe we need to make some changes. So this is a great time to start thinking about what you don't want to return to. And then in thinking about going forward and living happier and feeling a little bit lighter, there's something that I do a lot of work with called positive intelligence, and it's your ability to turn every. Isn't it great? It's so. Oh my gosh, I could say so much about it, but I know we have limited time. But the one of the things that I tell people to do, and they think I'm crazy, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that when you have something that's challenging, and something doesn't go your way, right? Maybe your child comes home with a bad grade, or you're trying to make a big sale and it goes awry, or you just you write something and you hand it to somebody and they go, this is, ugh, we don't like this at all. Whatever it is, something is going negative, or went south for you. Ask yourself this question: what is the gift or opportunity here? What is the gift or opportunity here? And sometimes I'll tell people to ask this: what are 3 possible positive outcomes that could come of this seemingly negative situation? Because we don't really know if it was a bad thing or good thing until, time has elapsed, sometimes even years later. But if you challenge yourself to come up with some ideas, a couple things will happen. First of all, we all have these strong judges, right, that we were talking about before. So, warning, the judge is going to tell you there's nothing good that could come of this situation. This is a ridiculous question. Why are you even wasting your time with what Barbara said? This is dumb. That's a lie. Don't believe it. Ask again. Where's the gift? Where's the opportunity? Keep asking it, because yes,
Don't
yes,
listen to that judge. See this
that's
judge?
right.
Don't listen to him.
See, I don't have any toys here. I feel
I
like
know.
I'm at a
This
loss.
was the gift. It was like for Halloween. And then Day of the Dead, I was like, all right.
I
That's
like
cute.
it.
It's
I
cute though,
like it.
right?
Usually I have a Buddha or something around me. I don't even have.
My Buddha's over there. Well,
I
one of
can't
2.
compete. I
Yeah.
can't compete.
Buddhas are awesome.
But yes, the
Anyways, you were saying.
judge is good. So the
Yes.
judge. So quiet that judge down, because you know what you do if you keep challenging yourself, you rewire your brain for positive action.
Rewire your
You
brain.
rewire
Everybody
your
say that
brain.
out loud right now where you're at.
Yes.
Rewire
Rewire.
your brain. You know what?
Yes.
A lot of things that happened this year, one of the key thing that happened was people were reevaluating relationships. And I'm talking all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
When we discovered what was really essential when this pandemic hit, when you talked about losing people and you couldn't see them, some people took advantage of not visiting people, or either lessened the relationship or didn't realize how hard it would be to be together all the time.
Yeah.
Truths were revealed.
Right.
And sometimes, and this could come from you and I being where we're at in our wisdom and our lives. I come from a past of, I was very, very, very tightly wound, codependent on relationships. I half Filipino, grew up Catholic upbringing, husband, kid, for the rest of my life. And I honestly thought that that's what I wanted because that's what I was raised around.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I did. But when I look back on it now, I realize sometimes when people, and you don't even want to say leave your life because it's their life, when they exit their life and you're no longer in contact with them. Like I lost my sister and my aunt in the same year 2 years ago.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, thank you. But this is the thing. Do I stop living? And how sad do I stay?
Mm-hmm.
How much time did I spend with them before they went? Was it quality? You reevaluate these things, right? So sometimes it isn't a matter of a quantity, it can be a matter of a quality, because we've all been forced to be away from each other for so long right now. Not everyone's been able to handle it because of how they were living it before it happened.
Right.
So did you have that quality?
Yeah.
And when you talk about the things that I don't do list, add that to the list. Make sure whatever relationship you have, be it business, friendship, love, children, best friendship, that it's more quality than it is quantity. Because if you don't know when you'll see them again, you can rest assured in your heart where you are together in that. And if it needs to move on, have peace with that.
Right.
I've
Love that.
lost people. I mean, not by death, just by differences. Life just we went, right? There was a divide. I mean, whether it be political, race, pandemic, there were these things that happened and it had us look at each other in a way we didn't bother to look before. So reassess that. And that starts with you inside and who you are and your tribe and who you're around and your people, right? Level up,
Absolutely. 100%.
level on. I know I just went off on a crazy tangent, but when you sit in your
But
butt,
it's
'cause I was
true.
home a lot and I did a lot of self-reflecting and it does. That's how that happens.
It's great. That's absolutely great. And you know what? One of the things you said that I love was that you said after the loss of two loved ones, you thought, well, what am I going to do now? Am I just going to give up here? How long am I going to try to stay in this painful state?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Yeah, bad things are going to happen, right? Some things that are painful are going to happen to us, and we're going to feel the pain, and that's okay. But then we have a choice. How long do we want to stay in that pain? If you're walking, we tell people, if you're going by a stove that you don't realize is on and you touch it with your hand and you feel that burn, okay, well, that burn is important to feel, so to pull your hand up. But you do have a choice. You can keep it on there or you can pull it up. So how long do you want to feel that burn?
Yeah.
The whole idea of recovery and resilience, that's where we can all do some work so that we can endure and recover from any of these challenges that come our way.
Preach it, Barbara, preach it.
Preach it.
And that's the hardest one is to tear away from emotionally. Because I think in when you're coaching with people, especially when it comes to figuring out their gift and where their career should be and how to manifest in that and be successful in that, it does stem from emotionally where you are in relationships because you're going to transfer that into business.
Yeah. And where you are with your relationship with yourself.
That's exactly what I was getting at. Is like, if you can't be strong within yourself, you're going to manifest that type of toxicity in people, in business, in transactions, in connections, until you can fix that in here. Right. I mean, I'm a
Right.
big fan of accountability is like my favorite word. So no, it takes two to do things, whatever,
Sure.
business, love, but it starts with you. And if the two don't work, that can be okay. But however you are inside is how you'll recover from it, how you'll learn from it. Right.
Right. And it's important to know too that the struggles that you have, other people have them too.
Yes.
You're not alone. We
Nope.
all go through these same things. We all question ourselves. We all get stuck. We all don't know if we're good enough. We don't know if it's going to make it. We all go through these same things. So it's just, it's part of the human condition, but you can get help for that, and if you need help, seek it out. Don't just live in that pain. Get the help that will help you move forward and to feeling better and feeling lighter, right? We talked about light, feeling light and freedom. So
So much lighter. So how can people get that from you, Miss Barbara? Let's focus on that in your business. What do you have to offer, and what should be, because your website's floating down there. Y'all need to
yeah.
follow her.
Yes. And by the way, anybody who's listening to this podcast now, if you need a little help, if you just need a little clarity, sometimes you just need to unpack things, be like, I don't know where I'm at, but I just feel like I'm stuck and I want to move forward. Anybody watching can go to my website, Big Dream Executive Coaching, and you can book a free discovery call. It's not like, if you buy these services, you get this free. No, this is free. This is my gift to you to help you either move forward, find your purpose, get some clarity, or help you sort of overcome maybe some obstacles that you're dealing with and so forth. You can book it there. Also, I will mention that next Tuesday, a week from today, I am hosting a masterclass. Instagram, in my bio, you'll see the link to that. It's great. It's free, but space is limited, and we're more than halfway full already. So,
ooh,
yeah.
Anyone listening, jump on that. This is the time. Yeah. If you're watching this, you were meant to watch this for that reason. You might not even know how much you need it yet until you get it. I've learned that in the path. It's like, and it's free. right?
Right.
Why would you say no to that? Because at least
Absolutely.
that'll open the door. If you've never, if you've caught yourself in a rut, be it business, or you want to and you don't know where, do this. Barbara's fantastical.
Thank you,
Barbara,
Myki.
you're
You're
so
pretty
fantastical.
fantastical yourself,
Oh,
Myki.
thanks. I
See, we were bi-coastal fantastic here.
Yes, bi-coastal fantastical. That's perfect. So Tuesday, a week from today,
Yep.
free masterclass, limited. Please go to her
Yep.
website. I stuck it.
Yeah.
I typed
Or
it in.
Instagram. Go to my Instagram, Big Dream
Yes.
Executive Coaching. In the bio, you'll see the link.
Yep.
Go right on there and
Yep.
reserve your spot.
I've got that in there. Any last words before we? Do you have like a little, like a nugget of a quote or an advice before we end the show?
Well, one of my favorite quotes comes from, I am not the originator of it, Seth Godin, who is a marketing genius. I always keep this in mind, and it is, remember this: you are more powerful than you think you are. So act accordingly.
Wield that power and don't be scared of it. Don't confuse it with ego. Power is important.
Yep.
Hold on to it. Don't let people dull your shine. Barbara, thank you so much. This like flew by. I feel like this totally
Are we
flew
done?
by.
Are we over? We have to say
Well, I
goodbye to
mean,
everybody?
we're not necessarily. We can go a couple of more. I feel
I'm
like
kidding.
I
I
know,
gotta
right?
let you get going. Yeah, and thank you, Myki, and yay! Shout out to everybody who tuned in tonight.
Yes,
I love you guys.
there was a lot of people. They just like Susan. She loved your the don't list. Barbara with where's the gift. Victoria with focus is key. I mean, look at even we were talking about that wall people hit, right?
Yeah.
Because of in the first beginning. So thank you everyone who listened in. Barbara, thank you for your time. Really.
This has been fun,
incredible.
Myki. I love this. This is great.
You
Thanks
and I
for
are going to
having
connect
me.
after this
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I feel like
got it.
I could use your skills. And everybody else, please have a safe and reflective and grateful holiday this week. And remember,
advice.
every day that you wake up, you determine how your day will go. So let us all manifest to do our best